Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin.
All right, we started.
And let the games begin. Laurie Kilmartin, how was your week at my home club, Acme Comedy Company?
Well, it was lots of fun. When I did my sales pitch, I mentioned the podcast. I mentioned you, and people would cheer, and I would get angry.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, I'd be like, enough.
Enough. We get it. She's from here.
Yeah. The shows were really fun, and I have a lot of crowd work to clip out now.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I don't want to do it. It's so much work. But
how was Tony working with Tony?
Oh, Tony Kameen is one of my oldest friends of comedy, and I love working with him. He's so fun. It was cool because, I think I said before, sometimes I just get like new comic overload. You know what I mean? When you're meeting people and the enthusiasm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Tony lacks that. He has like an optimism that comes from experience as opposed from delusion. Which
Please write down optimism that comes from delusion. I don't have a pen.
Okay. Well, that's Kyle's. That's what Kyle does, Jackie.
I don't know. I don't mean to take his work from him. This is not okay. That's
and the MC, the MC. I hope you remember him, Aiden McCluskey.
Yes, I know that name. Yes.
He's very funny. He's homeless. He lives in his car. He just drives from gig to gig. He has a base in a very small town in Wisconsin where his family lives, but he basically he tricked out his car, and he has a bed that he sleeps in. And I'm just like, he was such a nice guy and a funny guy, and really like he would get up. He was wearing like American flag shorts on a weekend show.
Oh, thank God it was shorts. Oh, wait, the show? Wait, when he went up?
Oh yeah, full legs, the skinniest white legs you've ever seen in your life. And he's Adam McCluskey's got the old Irish skin tone, so it's very pale. You worry about his sunburning.
Matt
red
Milano,
hair.
Yeah, he also sleeps in his car. Yeah.
Fuck. And he get in a bucket hat and just kind of a not completely buttoned shirt. Hat. It's so funny. And so anyway, he has really good jokes, and he's a very funny guy. And so it was a fun contrast, I think, with the three of us.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting up there in my Beta brands. All right, I'm wearing my good pants, and whatever. And then we had there's a couple of competition nights. We had some contest people doing. 3 is plenty. 3 minutes is plenty.
Oh my God, so much. Yeah.
Right when you're about to go, I don't want to see this anymore, they say goodnight, and it's over.
Yeah. Everyone deserves 3 minutes to some extent,
yes.
Right?
Sure.
And what were the maximum number of contestants of an evening? 3?
It was one night with 3, and the rest was 2. One of them was 1, and that guy won the night. Brandy Brown stopped by. Derek Hughes stopped by. So we had comics stopping by. Nate, I forget his last name, who I worked with them at Dr. Grin, stopped by. So it was cool. It was fun seeing people. I did not see Lewis. He was not there. I don't know if he's on vacation or something. But,
I got a text from Lewis because his son bought the staff Happy Meals, and there was the Marvel's toys in it.
Oh, I saw.
And I was like, so I have spent actually the last 3 days going to a lot of different McDonald's, Laurie. So far I've got Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, though he said he was keeping me a Captain Marvel. So here's the good news. Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, that means that I have a Mary and Joseph from next year's nativity scene. That's the good news.
Well, the reason you want Captain Marvel, it looks exactly like you. The statue does, the little figurine. It's jarring. I thought it was a figurine of you. I was on Thursday night competing with Beyonce. Beyonce
right.
made a little dent in the Thursday audience. And then there was some aqua park thing on the weekend.
The
Summers are
aquatennial.
right. There's a lot going on in the summer because it's the only time Minnesotans could go out. So you do have some stuff you're competing with, but we had really fun, good crowds. A Twitter friend brought me C's lollipops. Always appreciated.
Yeah.
Another Twitter friend brought me candy from Abdallah.
I don't know. That
like
sounds amazing.
100-year-old candy company, I think, in Minneapolis, and
neat.
a nice little gift certificate. So it was nice, and I sold a bunch of books, and I'm almost out of t-shirts. I think I'm done with t-shirts. I don't think it's a lot.
It was an experiment.
Yeah. So that'll be done.
Okay. Did you find the Patreon stickers on your desk, on your porch?
Yeah, I left. Yeah, I did. Thank you. And I left. So those will get done this week. We're a little delayed. I'll send a little message to our Patreons about the stickers. You were delayed due to technical errors, and I was out of town, and there's lots going on with the strike and stuff. So it's hard to. I don't have whatever. They'll be out soon. I gave away a bunch of our stickers. People took our stickers.
The two new ones. Yeah, nice. I gave I kind of want ordering those stickers because we're doing them instead of Patreon doing them, and this is the first time that I just ordered them from Sticker Mule. There's extra ones, and I liked them so much that I kind of want one of each. There's extras of a couple of them, so there's always an overflow. So I did San Diego this weekend, and it's a new club, and the staff is amazing. Quite honestly, they are happy individuals.
Sounds like a new club.
And the food, get this, the chef is Filipino, and he has created some amazing, the food is better than it has any need or right to be. It was a delight to eat there each night. And Andy came with, and I did a panel for Comic-Con, and it was called, oh my God, it was called Old Nerds, New Tricks.
No.
And and it was 5 women. And David Nett is a great guy. He moderated, but he had us lined up by age.
Oh my God. On the weekend Barbie came out? This was happening? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So it was me. And then someone probably 8 years younger than me. And then we were the 2 Gen X. And then a couple of, there was like a millennial or 2, and then a Gen Z. And it was supposed to be about how to make nerd spaces more safe and gatekeeping of old dorks and all this stuff. And, me and the UCLA professor were like, let me tell you something about younger nerds. They've taken back the night. They're running this show. They will not tolerate it, and God bless them for it. So I did that panel, and Andy went and looked at toys, and then I did a live Dork Forest on Thursday night that was supposed to have Aparna and Maria and Mary Mac at it, and it was a mess. Yeah, and it would have been fun. Yeah, so the strike struck, and I genuinely hope that they liked me enough to have me back, because the numbers were not good all weekend. We had really fun shows. They thought that I was bringing a feature. I told no one that I was bringing a feature. I kind of wished I had. But Leo Flowers was there, and Leo Flowers is a headliner. He now lives in San Diego, does cruise ships, and so he featured all weekend. And then one of the comics, because it's a great hang, because there's a small room that's gorgeous. It's called the Gold Room, and that's where the podcast should have been on Thursday, but it wasn't. And Mary Mac sent some of her audience there. One guy came and did not enjoy me and left after I talked to him. And I was like, okay, all right. Uh, so, but the shows were fun. I did so much new material though. You ever do like sort of too much new material and you have a hard time, in an hour, right? I mean, there was a lot
Yeah.
of things going on. I hadn't done an hour in a couple of weeks. I felt bad about the numbers. And so the best show of the week, Saturday first show, like it often is. And 6 p.m. That's the new time for first shows now. 6 and 8:30.
Can I just say someone did an article about how America is just becoming a early night town, like country.
I
Like
hate
no,
it.
like in New York City, things are closing really early, and that's just America now. We go to bed earlier, we don't go out a lot, and we get up really early. That's the new America.
Wow. Well, it was the audiences were very nice. Friday night second show had to kick a four top out.
Ooh.
Yeah, just because I am not a band, right? You don't talk about the bit that I just did and how it applies to your life over me just because it was the
Right.
weirdest. And I was like, and then there was another guy on the other side who literally it was him and his girlfriend and then another couple. And the three of them shut him up. But at one point he said, "I'm gonna pray for you." And I
To
said,
you?
yeah. And I said, well, that sounds like a threat. And then I worked into my prayer bit. I said, should I pray for you? And then he shut up. So I sold okay merch, nothing great, nothing very exciting, because
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of people. But I've never spent 3 days in San Diego before. Have you ever
That's what
spent 3 days in San Diego?
2 days is good enough.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Comic-Con was there, so we went a couple of times.
Right.
Each time I lasted approximately 75 minutes until I was overwhelmed by the crowds and by the intensity of it all and the fact that there wasn't enough cosplay for me. I don't go for any other reason than comic books and cosplay, and there was not enough for me. And I was like, well, and there was nowhere to buy steampunk stuff, which is the other thing. When I want to buy a toy, it's going to be a steampunk toy. When I'm going to look at people, I want them to be dressed as cool things, and then maybe some comic books. But we saw like My Neighbor Totoro. We got to sit in the bus, got a picture. And have you seen all the Miyazaki stuff?
No, but I just want to say when I want to buy a toy, I remind myself that I'm a grown up. And that's how I handle that situation.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jacques Cousteau, with your swimming obsession.
I did hit the pool tonight. I'll have to tell you about my travel day in a second. But yeah, I did Comic-Con several years in a row with Conan. So we were there for a whole
Right.
week, and we were at the US Grand Hotel. It was a nice old hotel. It was fun. But that area
And
is
walkable though, right? Walk
very
to the
walkable.
convention center. Okay.
But that area is like, I don't know,
But
just
you
a
never had
lot.
passes, right?
No.
You didn't actually get to go in.
One time we went into Hall, I snuck into Hall, or someone gave me a pass because they were leaving. It was Sunday afternoon, like everything was
Yeah.
closing. So I had like an hour to run around in Hall H. So I kind of did. And I was like, oh, if I was into this stuff, I could see how exciting it would be. But we never actually got access, which kind of sucked because we were writing comedy based on, and everyone in the audience had been in Hall H. And it would be nice if the writers had also been in Hall H, so we could, write a little more comedy that was a little more pertinent to the interests of the crowd. But whatever.
Yeah, well, and Mic Drop was actually 13, 15 miles from that downtown area.
Okay.
And they gave me a choice. The club, so nice, but they gave me a choice between staying, I think it was that Marriott that was right next to the convention center, or
Yeah.
the Marriott that was right by the club. And I picked the club because I was going to be at the club 3 nights and I didn't, and I also wanted, it was like the parking was cheaper. They had a free breakfast. They had a pool. It was, it was just a lot calmer. And I liked that. It was fun to go and the panel was super fun. It's always fun to do a panel. I love
Yeah.
to be asked my opinion. I
Yeah.
also I did a weird press thing. I got just out of the blue a question about Comedy Works. If a journalist was like, "Hey, I'm doing an independent article about Comedy Works. Could you talk about what you think of Wendy and Comedy Works in Denver?" Well, as we
Right.
know, I'm famous in Denver, and Comedy Works has done nothing but help that, right?
Yeah. Right.
We've all been successful because of it. So I emailed Wendy and I was like, "Is that real?" It's like, it isn't going to be some weird expose. And she was like, "I talked to that guy. I didn't. He told me he was going to talk to comics that he liked. So, um, and so I talked to him for a half an hour. I've been having a hard time concentrating,
Yeah.
and so I came up with the soundbite that I pray to God he uses at the end of the half an hour of him talking to me. I was like, "Tell
Mhm.
me you are recording this," because that was the soundbite. And he
Right.
was like, instead of me just talking about, "I don't like clubs where the club owner touches the small of my back."
Wendy leaves your back alone. That's what I like about her.
Right. There's never any Wendy. Yeah.
Yeah. I am also at that club, mic drop, this Sunday, July
Oh,
30th.
right. Oh, right.
So, San Diegans, please ignore everything I just said about your town and stop by at the club. No, it's fine. We were staying near a lot of homeless people, so that was a. I have family in San Diego. It's fine. It's actually great, and if my son went to school there, he would love it, and it's a great place. But I'll
It
be
was
there on
super. Yeah, go. Yeah, you're
just
there Sunday.
Sunday, July 30th, one show, 8 p.m.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm home all week. I guess I should probably pick it, right?
Yeah, stop on by. I think I'm gonna do. I mean, gosh, my knee hurts so much just from walking around Minneapolis. It hurts. So oh, fuck. But I'm gonna go to probably Warner Brothers tomorrow and do the 9 to 12.
Okay.
Um, and it's Warner Brothers and Disney. It's just a 9 to 12 because it gets so hot.
Oh, there's no afternoon?
Uh-uh. I
Okay.
prefer the afternoons because I like to get stuff done in the morning. So having a morning
Right.
picket kind of it knocks me out because my leg hurts so much at the end of the day. I'm just like then I'm just in my bed for a couple hours.
Right. I have an 11 a.m. tomorrow, so I don't know. I suppose I could go 9 to 11
Yeah,
because it's
you
just
could
a
pop
phone call.
in. We
Yeah.
just need bodies, and at least
Yeah.
I don't know what's like. I'm not picketing as a SAG, even though I could. So I don't know if they're checking people in or if they're counting. I know the Writers Guild is like you need to picket 3 times a week if you can. So when I'm home, that's my goal. So
Yep.
they check you in and all that kind of stuff. It's a smaller guild though, so
Yeah. Yeah. It's
okay.
yeah.
I had a horrific travel day today. I can't believe I'm conscious right now. So
Right.
I didn't even look at my return ticket till like Saturday. I'm like, when am I leaving tomorrow? And it was 5 a.m. on Sunday. And I was like, oh my God, why did I do
Every
this?
time we make that decision, that statement comes out of our pie hole. Why did I make that
Why?
decision?
It must have been
Yes.
hundreds of dollars cheaper. Like it must have been
I
significantly
hope they
cheaper.
paid you. That's what I hope. I hope
They
it was
didn't.
so cheap that they gave you money.
It so of
So how did
course
you? Yeah.
so I do 2 shows on Saturday, right? I get back to the hotel around close to 1. I'm, bing, comedy, the 2 shows. It's hard to sleep after 2 shows. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I got to get up at 3 because the lift's
Mm-hmm.
coming at 3:30. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm worried I'm going to sleep through it. So there's no sleep there. So I did the first leg of the flight and then my legs were shaking. I was you ever get so sleepy you're in pain?
Yeah.
You just want to lay down. And so and then of course it's not a direct flight. I'm flying to fucking Texas, so I'm in Dallas, and
Right.
they have two locations where you can rent a pod and
Oh, right.
turn the lights off, kick your legs out and sleep.
In Texas.
$45 an hour. I was like,
Wow.
I will treat myself to the most expensive hour-long nap. I think if I get an hour, at least my legs won't be shaking and I won't feel sick. Like I almost felt like I was gonna throw up. I was so tired, you know?
Oh my gosh. How long was your layover?
Like 3 hours. It's too long.
Yeah.
Did that, and then then I felt good enough to get home, and then I came home and slept all afternoon. But
oh my gosh.
you know, I think the thing, and happy birthday to you. So now we're both the same age. But
again.
Yeah, you caught up again. I think the thing most that I noticed about aging in comedy is that it's harder to do these travel days. It's harder to do hard travel days. And when I was younger, it was like, whatever, I could fly out tomorrow at 5 a.m. No big deal. And now I'm like, I need time to recover because that hurt my body.
Yeah. Entirely. It doesn't, the whole aging process can fuck itself as far as I'm concerned. Because I don't like it. I don't like it. We drove, it took, and San Diego is 90 miles away. So it should be, by Minneapolis standards, an hour and a half away. It was almost, of course, 3 hours. And it's fine. It's to drive, especially with somebody. Here's what I noticed, and is it's so great to travel with someone else. Like you got to hang out with Tony, you got to, at the club. It's one of the great things that I love working with Maria. But traveling with Andy, he wants to do something during the day.
No.
And so I didn't get as much sitting around time as is needed.
Key.
It's key if you want to do 2 shows.
They don't get it. You need to sit around. You need to collect your energy because you're going to spring like a cat, but you need that time to just collect,
Right. And I think that that's probably, whatever, however many years ago it was, I could have spent the day, doing whatever, and then and then done 2 shows and been psyched about it. But so I think that that's real too. And I still don't have any sympathy for Bill Cosby. Is that mean? No. And I don't know how that comes out.
Where's this coming from? Why is Bill Cosby on your mind? Because he's an old comic and you're like, wow, must be hard for him. It does get harder. It does get harder to rape as you get older, Jackie. That's a good point.
Right. So hip replacements come into being. It's just a whole thing.
You accidentally slip your prescription drugs into the girl's drink instead of Rohypnol. It's tough, guys.
I have this to say. I came home and Andy's cousins stayed with Chris for the weekend. And of course, 19 tomatoes became ripe while I was gone.
Wow.
So they took some with them. And I, of course, begrudge every one until I've had all of the tomato sandwiches I want in life. For I am Harriet the Spy. But here's the scoop. If you would like a tomato, you can have a garden tomato if you like, but I don't think you do. I think that you're some sort of monster. Right?
I like, I guess tomato is a fruit, but I like real fruit and not half vegetable fruit. Sorry, I'm not into tomatoes.
You can't even say no, thank you. It's like a normal human being. It has to be. Why do you like a thing that's weird, Jackie? And you're like, because I'm alive. Anyway, Kyle, would you like your own tomato and Laurie's?
I would actually love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a nice caprese salad.
There you go. Live it up. I got heirloom.
Problem solved.
I got Momotaros. It's all coming together.
Get the fresh mozzarella.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Schlissel. There's so much happening.
Did he come down?
The first half of his name, it's like a lot happening. Schlissel.
It's Schlissel. Yeah, Dan Schlissel. What about Dano?
Jackie, there's 4 consonants. 4 consonants. Schlissel.
Just call
Before
him
you hit a
Dano.
verb. I mean, a vowel. Okay, so Dan, yeah, no one calls him Dano. Dano. So he and Tony and I, he took us to a steak place called Lindy's, which is
Yeah.
super old, and it's like a house in a suburb. You would never know it was a restaurant. I felt like I was going into someone's home up their driveway, but then there's a whole bunch of people inside.
Okay.
It was
That's
very delicious.
Bloomington. Bloomington, Indiana has houses that are restaurants. But did you have steak? Did you have a nice dinner with Dan Schlissel?
Yeah, we all had dinner and talked, and Dan talked about some of the stuff he talked about on WTF about his health and stuff. And then he's descended from Holocaust survivors, and hearing the real stories is always I'm always fascinated and horrified by that stuff, but I want to hear it. But you know, I it's something like that. It's just like it's gonna stay in your family for a couple it's gonna take like at least 3 more generations, I think, for some people to for their kids to not have all that in them. You know what I mean? It's just it's when the stories he was telling me, it's like, fuck, that's your your family that happened to. Oh my God.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Armenian genocide, but my grandmother.
Yes, I've told you that. I know it's in you. It's swirling around in you.
Yeah.
I'm very anti-Turk and pro-Jackie. How do you like that?
I like that. I like it. That's what, I feel like that's the first time you said you're pro-Jackie. So I know that you've lived it, but it's really nice to hear it.
It's coming on the heels of my anti-tomato tirade. I felt like I had to do something.
Exactly. You got to somehow make it up. I am doing Comedy and Magic at the end of the month for one last time for their festival of being 45. I am looking forward to it. I've actually had a really good time every time I've gone this year. Sometimes it's too crowded. Sometimes it's comics that I don't know very well. Sometimes it's some of that. But both times I've gone, all 3 times I've gone this month, I've known most of the comics. It's been really fun to see people. And other than that, and then I'm gonna go. So the only shows I've got local shows, and then of course I'm going to Stir Crazy in Phoenix is my next road gig.
Oh my God.
In August, the beginning of August.
No.
I know I'm trying to figure out whether I should drive and then die alone in the desert as I drive or fly and not have a car when I'm there. So,
well, is the hotel, is it an Uber or walking distance from the
it's an Uber, and Tom usually just sends over a Lyft every night.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. And I think I panicked when I booked this thing.
I don't think you should drive. Honestly, it really is dangerous to be in that kind of heat for too long, and I don't think you should drive. I think you should fly.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I just know the last time I did it, which of course was 4 years ago. I did that thing where my flight was at 5 a.m. and I could not get an Uber or a Lyft to take me to the airport. So, and I'll have Carmen Morales left her car with us. So I could put the miles on her car. It's a much better car than my car. I have a 2013 Corolla. I think she has a 2023 Mazda.
Wow. Can I just point out what a horrible friend you are? In a pro-Jackie way, if I could say that.
I could. Well, the good news is that I could leave her car here and Andy could use it. And and her car, have you ever gotten a rental car where the button is in the middle and you got to do this and it's all fucking in the middle?
Every rental car is like learning to drive a spaceship, because my car is, I have a 2009 Corolla and it doesn't look like any current car. Like I don't know why they give me these cars. They should give you a lesson on them.
For a friend of mine, you saw this on the thread, was selling her 99 Camry. And my friend Eleanor's 90. And she can't drive anymore. So so she was like, if anybody wants it, it'd just be $1,700. And I was like, how many miles on it? She said, I think 300,000. And I'm like, it's actually not worth $1,700.
It's
And
a little high.
even though the 99 Camry is one of the best engines ever made.
Really?
That was my dream road car. Was the 97 Camry. And if you could find one with less than 100,000, they go to like 500,000. It's an amazing car. But the 2009 Corolla is a good one. I used to have I think I had a 2003, and now I have a 2013. Andy likes to keep a car for 10 years, and then he likes to get a new car. And I'm like, I like to never get a new car, and then just have it fall apart around me, much like yourself. But
it's a waste of money.
Yeah, because I don't care. If I'm in a shitty looking car, guess what I get to do? Look at your really cool car.
Also,
you're the one who has to look at mine.
Right. A lot of these nicer cars are getting hit with catalytic converter theft, and the Priuses are like, they've lost a lot of their value because you can't even count on having a catalytic converter, and they stay in the shop for months. So yeah.
All right.
So an old piece of shit car is not too bad right now.
On that note, let's take a quick break.
Mm-hmm.
And now, let's talk about our comic of the week. I don't know. I meant to check on how she's doing. We don't actually know her. She just had guff. We mentioned her a couple of weeks ago. She was getting guff from American Woman.
I think she lost her citizenship in her home country. That's more than guff,
right.
Jackie.
That's some serious guff. She is an American citizen. And so she is a Chinese American citizen from Singapore. Mm-hmm. And she did some jokes about Singapore and Malaysia in New York City. And it's Jocelyn. What's her last name, Kyle?
Chia. Chia.
She did jokes about Malaysia. Singapore and Malaysia have a troubled history together. She did some what Malaysia considered anti-Malaysian comedy, and it became an international furor. It was just like a couple jokes and a little bit of crowd work on a seller show, and they posted it. And so I was just reading through, like, the responses to her were just really horrifying, and over the top and just ridiculous. And but she's
the jokes were funny.
They were,
and that's
I love that. I love it too.
Yes.
She's not like, oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, fuck you. Or I'm paraphrasing, but her attitude is, I'm telling jokes and get over it. And so I love her spirits. And I thought the clip that was posted was really funny. It was mean funny. I like mean funny. So
you do like mean funny. I like mean smart funny, and when it's also silly, because she does a joke. She does a joke, and then she references the Malaysian airline, and then she goes, sometimes that joke doesn't land. And I laughed against my will at that line because it's so silly and so perfect.
Yeah.
But her name's Jocelyn. It's probably not pronounced Chia, but it's spelled like Chia Pet. And her handle is Chia Comedy, CHIA Comedy on the Instagram. So find her and be extra nice to her because banana heads
some
are
nice comments.
Yeah, because the balloons are out, man.
It's a lot of it's really sexist stuff too, so it gets into like this just a bad area. So
I had literally, it hasn't happened in probably a year, 2 years, maybe more, maybe pre-COVID. I had an older woman in her early 60s, maybe late 60s, come up and say how much she loved my stand-up after the second show last night. And then tell me that she couldn't find funny comics who weren't dirty. And I was like, I gave her a Jackie and Laurie sticker. I was like, go to the comic of the week. There's hundreds of women comics. Some of them are dirty. A lot of them aren't. They're all unique and interesting and very,
Yeah.
very smart and very, very silly and great. So I would recommend everybody do that. JackieandLaurieShow.com. Go to the Comic of the Week list, and if it's not completely updated, it's pretty close, right, Laurie?
Is this your passive aggressive way to get me to update that site?
In the middle
Because I don't
of me
appreciate that.
saying that pitch, I was like, I think you just gave Laurie a task. So I'm so sorry.
It's on my list, Jackie. Got a lot on my list. I had last week I'm working on my pilot. Okay, right. And
Right,
Cheryl, my
right.
friend Cheryl, is like, she's very, very helpful in helping me corral it, you know. And I never want to start a pilot like this again, where it gets out of control. So I kind of just posted, how do people, when you're writing something, how do you manage it, you know? And so several people offered to Zoom with me and just tell me what they do. And two very, very
successful
yes, writers. I spent time with them on Zoom last week, and
that's neat.
I learned a lot. But the key thing that kind of blew my mind is they know the ending of the story before they even start writing it. And I've never been like that. I'm always like, and then I think that might be, I don't know, maybe it's not, but it might be a stand-up thing, because we never know how anything's gonna work. We just started, and by the time you finish a bit, it's never what you thought it was going to be when you started. You don't know the ending of it. You don't get the ending laugh till you have 10 laughs. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know anything. So it's kind of that spirit of going into something of, well, let's see what this turns into. And
right, because with stand-up, you start with a funny idea, and then the punchlines sort of populate afterwards. And they want you to sort of have the arc of the whole series or the arc of the episode.
Just a story.
Okay.
The first, whether it's a screenplay or whatever, it's the story. But also, you know, it's coming up with a way to make your, like when I started with Conan, right? I sent in a packet of like 15 or 20 jokes I'd written over 3 weeks. And they were the top, 15 or 20, and there's like 300 shitty ones, right? And then I got the job, and I'm like, oh my God, I've expected to do this effort that took me 3 weeks every day. Oh my fucking God. I was total anxiety, right? And then I ended up coming up with a way that worked for me, which was I'd read news sites, and I'd write premises, just setups, no jokes, just setups,
right?
Like 15 or 20 of them. Then I'd go on a walk, or I'd go to the kitchen and get coffee, or go to the bathroom or whatever. I would just release it from my head, and then come back a few minutes later as if I hadn't written that stuff, and just start going down one by one, hitting punchlines. And that's how I was able to start like really cranking out a lot of jokes. And I was like,
that's really smart.
I need Brian Kiley doesn't do that. Brian Kiley does a different, like, everyone's got their own thing, but you have to, like, I was like, I need something like that for a story that's long and has many characters, whether it's the novel that I half finished, and then it was like, there's too many characters, and I shut down, or this half-hour idea that it just kept sprawling all over the place, like the suburbs in the 50s, and I needed to be a tight city block, right?
Yeah, so, right.
So they gave me some really great ideas, and just different ways to think about approaching that stuff, as opposed to my usual, I'll just try it on stage and see what happens. That's a different thing. That's stand-up. It's not turning in a script, whatever. So that was very helpful, and I was very appreciative of both of those ladies for doing that.
That's great. Maria, when because her memoir is coming out, one of those essay memoir books.
Yeah.
She told me, by the way, that she read Aparna and Charla's, and it was great. Which kind of makes me, I don't read any of that stuff, but I'm vaguely interested. But Maria, she was writing it, and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never written anything like this, and it's not stand up. And so the good news is she got like 4 pre-reviews, and they're all good. Like Library, whatever, and Kirkus,
nice.
And
that's great.
So whatever. And her new album came out last week. And
is that the special she recorded in the afternoon, or is that?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's and it was sure,
Or in
I'll
the
join
morning.
your in the morning at PDA. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so it was weird. I was reposting a couple of tracks. My two favorite tracks on the are my two favorite jokes of hers: the 12-step joke and the ayahuasca joke.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. So then I go away and I go into my car, and all of a sudden Maria's behind. Absolutely every time I turn on the car, the damn album is it was really, I was like, no, I love you dearly. I can't possibly be listening to this all the time. And I want to do, like, I have, so Saturday show was good, so I think I can clip out Saturday from Mic Drop. What I did for the Dork Forest was I just brought people on stage and talked to them about their dorkdom. There was a guy in the front row who was a little bit in the bag, and he talked about how much he liked beer. And
oh my God.
There was a guy who came up, talked about how much he liked Mary Mac, and then he left. I got his name wrong.
What the fuck?
Sorry.
Weirdos.
Yeah. I got his name wrong. He was having trouble with his mic, so I thought his name was Mike. His name was Jeff. Anyway, so I don't. It was a bit of a mess, but the audience, the people, there were a couple of people who came to, like, two people came twice.
Nice.
So yeah, so I didn't get any of the bonuses, of course, because I didn't sell out the room at all. But I did get like a good 10 people from Comic-Con came. So
Yeah.
I could build something. It feels, I will say this, and this might sound obnoxious, but it feels like I'm about to hit like a you know, when you plateau and you spike and you plateau and you spike. I feel like I'm right before a spike. Which would be great, obviously, financially and comedy, just comedy audience wise. Even though I know that there are comedy fans out there who are like, man, I knew you when you were REM and you played the 400 Club. Anyway, but it was, I mean, it's yeah, but I would like the idea, because I got in my head about the numbers.
Yeah,
I got my head about.
Well,
Yeah.
it's hard not to when people who have like 2 years of stage time are selling out venues because they have social media presence, and you have 35 years of experience, and you're not. It's fucking hard not to.
It's
freak
hard
out
not to
about
get
that.
in my head about. Yeah. So I was Andy was like, you can't think about it. And I was like, well, that's not, you're right. You are not wrong.
Yeah.
And of course, that's what you do. You stop thinking about it. You have to stop thinking about it so that you can go up and do another show. Because the only thing, and I was like, oh, but I would wish. And then just don't wish. Don't wish, Jackie. No one's got time for that. Any kind of wishing. So, but I am.
Oh, that's the genocide in you. Going, don't dream, just be alive. All right.
I actually saw an interview. What was it with it was a Holocaust survivor. It was a woman, and she was talking about how when she was in the camps, in the German camps in World War II, she every day would get up and try to do something to make herself happy, as she was being starved to death and genocided. Yeah. Right. And she was like, I had to get up and have a reason to live.
Yeah.
So even if it was just making my fellow person dying next to me laugh.
Right. Jesus.
It was, I was like, that was some powerful. I mean,
well, let's talk about the real tragedy. Our TikTok numbers aren't bringing in people too.
You know, it's funny because Melanie VC of promotionalrescue.com was talking to me about how we were looking at the stats, and my TikTok numbers, I have all of these followers on TikTok. None of them have gone to my website.
Oh,
Like
heck, can you
7
tell?
people. You can look at the stats on my website of where people came from.
Okay.
Like the link in
yeah.
bio, they
Right.
follow the link, right?
Yeah.
So I get a lot of people still coming from Twitter. But Twitter's such a cesspool right now of it just feels kind of muddy. It just feels kind of melancholy.
It's on the verge of collapse. He announced today, this is Sunday, he's changing the name to X starting tomorrow. It's just like, what are you fucking doing, man? Can we just promote our shows and tell jokes? Why are you turning this into a fucking bank, you piece of shit?
I have to tell you that I actually said the words, I would just like to have the one job. And I said it while I was riding in a Lyft. And the Lyft driver was like, yeah, me too. Oh my God. Yes.
Tony and I were reminiscing about how back in the day, the promotion was all the club's problem, right?
Yep.
And they threw you on radio, okay, but even they had to arrange that. You know, you did have to show up. That did suck, but you just did radio, and then you did your shows at night, and the day was yours. You weren't learning software. You weren't opening up iMovie and then captioning for 4 or 5 different fucking apps. It is endless.
It isn't that. No, it isn't. I am looking forward to that. That Stir Crazy Club in Phoenix is small and can be super fun.
Yeah.
And here was the other thing. I was like, I'm doing this bit about my mother-in-law and moving her down from Central California, and you know, whatever, it's liberals and crystal clutchers and all this stuff, right? And it was the guy who eventually yelled out the words that he was going to pray for me. He reminded me, I said, you know, this reminds me, I actually was in San Diego can be kind of conservative. And then he goes, yeah. And a couple other people were like, boo. And it was really, I was like, Let me
add him this Sunday. I'm coming for you, San Diego.
Coming. So, but I was in the hotel in an elevator. I said, you know, as much as I'd like to think that, you know, I'm here for the Civil War, I had essentially a T-shirt off with a guy in an elevator at the Marriott. Because
what do you mean?
This guy was wearing one of those T-shirts of the flag, but it wasn't our flag. It was like, I think it was either a gun where the stripes were guns, or the stripe was the blue line one.
Oh, it's the cop flag. Ugh,
yeah,
gross.
It's so interesting. The cop flag is so interesting. They're like, you got to support the cops, not the community we were hired to protect. Right? It's such a weird fucking flag.
It's awful. It's gross.
And it's so weird because like now there's like a fireman one, a red line, and you're like, are you pro arson? What's happening? And I'll tell you something. The alcohol, tobacco, and ATF, they don't have it, but like the National Park Service has a green one. So it's like a douchey, weird thing.
Okay, so we comedians, we need to subvert the American flag into a pro stand-up sort of flag, right?
Just mics, just all made out of microphones.
Yes,
just all microphones. That's what the new sticker. Did you see the new sticker?
No, I
kills like a guy. Because you said that you know, we grew up in comedy going, where the best compliment you could give a woman comic was that she kills like a guy.
Yeah.
And then Andy made a graphic of like a Bowie knife and a mic that were attached to each other.
I'm so excited. I have them. This day has just been a survival day. Once I finish this podcast, I'm taking an edible and I'm hopefully sleeping for 8 hours.
Okay. Yeah, knock yourself out. And then so I was wearing my Auntifa shirt, which is Aunties Against Fascism. It says Auntifa, and We both just stared away from each other the entire
I love it.
entire elevator ride. And yeah, but what a douche. So yeah, hey, it's 45 minutes. Speaking of which, let's take a break.
Yeah.
And we're back. So I'm doing Stir Crazy, and then I'm doing Paso Robles. And I'm also
I'm
doing
doing
something.
Paso Robles too for Bob Fernandez.
Don't know. Can't remember.
Okay. Okay.
Wait. One would imagine
I'm doing it August
a
5th.
guy named Jim Gallagher.
No, different Paso Robles guy. All right. What night are you there?
I am there on Friday, August 11th.
Oh,
I had
okay.
to get my own hotel, but they gave me money for it. And it's one show for this. And that's not bad.
Well, my guy's not paying that much, but hey, Jackie.
Let me hook you up with this guy.
I'm happy with my life.
No, your life is good, but I'm doing that Paso. So doing Stir Crazy, I'm doing. I forget he was like, I'm gonna give you that gig, and then you have to go to Corona. I didn't have to. I was just That's August 3rd. Wait, that's fucking coming up, isn't it? Yeah, August 3rd, which I don't even know where Corona is. You people grew up in this state. Where is it?
Jackie, I didn't really pay attention to SoCal. I'm from Northern California, as you
you were from
right back
Central.
At you.
Here's what we're seeing here. This is the war between
very real.
Except for that, nobody in LA knows that they're having a fight with San Francisco, as far as I can tell.
It makes me crazy.
That's been the tragedy of the entire altercation.
How you win.
At least the British knew the Irish hated them, but the
right.
Hey. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, my mid-August, my 18th, I'm doing New York City and DC with Maria, 18, 19, 21. And then I'm going to Nashville to do a benefit. And then I'm going to go stare at my dad again on the 23rd.
Yes. I am. Okay, first of all, cheers to our former comic of the week and legend, Kathy Ladman. She's selling out shows. She has a one-woman show about anorexia, which she had in her teens up until I don't know when. In New York City, they're adding a third show. So she had such a great Fallon. I think it's part of that, and she did a Marin, she did WTF. So great to her. Sarah Schaefer has a one-woman show about comedy. I forget the name of it, and do you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. I've seen clips of it, and she's Sarah Schaefer. You got to see it?
I saw the first version, and then there's a new version, and it's playing in LA. I don't have to. I was just putting that out there in case people want to see it. And
but it's a solo show about stand-up comedy, and it's really sarcastic and brutal and funny, and it looks amazing. She's so freaking funny.
She's great. And so this we got to plug big time, or I have to plug. August 9th. Okay, Marcella Arguella, who was our first comic of the week. We've always believed that she is a comet, and we're just grabbing onto the tail and hoping she takes us with her. She's so fucking funny. She had a great HBO special. She is hosting Women Crush Wednesday, which is a show she used to have at the Improv at the Ford Theater, which is a big outdoor venue across from the Hollywood Bowl. It's a big deal. Outdoors at night in the summertime. There's at least 10 women comics on it, and I'm one of them, but there's so many funny people on it. And if you're COVID sensitive, you're worried about that stuff, it's outside. It's a pretty safe way to enjoy comedy, and she's going to have great comics. She herself is fucking hilarious. It'll be a great night under the stars. It's one of those comedy nights you'll always remember. Yeah, August 9th. Okay. And then I will be in New York City on the 11th and 12th at the Broadway and the Greenwich Village, just bopping up and down, up and down, up and down.
Stand. Broadway, Greenwich Village.
No, just Broadway in the Village. Rich loaded me up, but there was no breathing room for any others.
Oh, God. Oh, fair enough. Okay. Right. Yeah. You're just going for 2 nights.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. It's yeah, I'm doing Maria's doing Sony Hall in New York. 2
Wow.
nights. And
Wow.
and then something else fancy. Yeah, so it's like if you go to, I have a brand new website, you guys. It's super fancy,
It's gorgeous.
promotionalrescue.com.
It looks
And so
amazing.
you can see exactly where I'm going to be in New York and DC. If you are in New York or DC and want to come to those shows, Maria, fucking hilarious. And then oh, she's doing the Kennedy Center in DC.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, 2 shows, 7 and 9.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fun. Cool.
Yeah, and our nation's capital. And my nephew is actually moving to DC in August because he's going to go get his PhD at some college there, some
What the
university.
fuck?
God knows.
Wow. Incredible.
Yep.
Well, we aren't the scholars like you Cations over there, you know?
Yeah,
We're trying to
it's
get
just
by on our
avoiding
our,
day jobs. That's all they're doing.
our full rides with the athletic ability if possible, or partials,
Right.
anything.
Just trying to get yeah, we're just trying to make it so that there's no 9 to 5. The fact that my brother Scott has a 9 to 5 is one of the great losses in our life. It's what do you go to an office 9 to 5, you can't just leave? And he's like, I could leave. So but that's why everybody's in some version of sales, is so that they
That's
can
good.
take a nice lunch.
Guys, come out on August 9th if you can. It's a great show.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And then when are you doing the road again? Do you have anything in August or?
Nothing in August. August is
Okay.
a kind of a dry little month, Jackie.
All right. It's time to re-up.
Yep.
All the places. Well, I'm looking forward to going to
Hey,
Acme
you know
again. I
we're
think I'm
done,
there. Yeah.
right? We're done.
What?
He said an hour. You keep going. I keep thinking we have closing lines, and then you start rambling again. We're done.